I actually didn't turn the faucet off. I turned it up higher. And my sincere hope is that this is the last time we'll need to move Lucky, and the saga of Lucky can end now, hopefully. Hi there, yo folks. I'm Sean the Modern Yeoman, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Yosted for another Work With Me Wednesday episode, where there's no fancy editing, no music, it's just you and me hanging out, getting some work done, maybe doing a little bit of chatting, and hopefully escaping the craziness of this world for just a few minutes. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, then I'd invite you to sit back, get comfortable, and help me get to work. My first project today is a simple one, but one that I've been putting off for far too long. I need to test the chicken plucker, the Yardbird chicken plucker. Now, I did give it a quick run test when I just put it together, which I want to say is like a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. But I just ran the motor to see if the plate at the bottom was spinning, and it was. However, I didn't hook up the hose, which let's find the hose attachment. This thing right here. I didn't actually hook up the hose to see if that was working because there should be water that comes out of this little hose that runs around the lip of this. So this thing should spin, which like I said, I'm confident, reasonably confident that it will. I only tested it once and it did. This thing should spin, but there should be water shooting out in jets from this little hose in the lip. Now that we're about a month out from chicken processing, I talked about it a little bit in the last video. It's just something I need to test to make sure I don't need to fix it or, heaven forbid, get a new chicken plucker. So let's test it out. Okay, so the very first thing is just to test the power, make sure the plate's spinning. Where is the on switch? Where are you, buddy? There you are. Here we go. Thumbs up. That works. Now, we need to plug in the hose and get that water running and see if that works. I don't know why these things leak forever after I turn them off, filled with so much water. Goes in easily enough. I'm gonna turn this plate on, and then after I turn the plate on, I'm gonna run this, see what happens. Wish me luck. Running, water time. Yes, it's working. Working as advertised. Now all this stuff should be pumping out of here. I think that's the way it's supposed to be. I think we'd normally get a bucket down here. That's where the feathers and everything would come out. But I believe everything is working the way it should. One thing to note, I'll probably get an adapter where I can just turn this off whenever I'm not plucking, because I just don't want the water going in constantly and have to run back and forth to the faucet to turn it off when I'm not using it. I turned the faucet off now, and as you can see, it's taking a while for the water to run. I actually didn't turn the faucet off. I turned it up higher. Either way, the point remains. This thing is working as I believe it should. One of the things I've noticed about being on the homestead now for over a year is that at any given time there are literally hundreds of little tasks that need to get done. Some bigger, some smaller. Not necessarily challenging tasks, but things that need to get done all the same. This next task is one of those. So a couple weeks ago I cracked the main support beam in the meat chicken tractor. This thing right here, you can kind of see it. It runs from right down there to right up there. And I cracked it when I actually had the stock tank, when the meat birds were still very little and I was having that in there for extra shelter. I moved this thing without thinking, set it down on the stock tank and cracked this thing. So as you can kind of see here, I put up a little brace, another strip of wood to serve as the brace. But the fact remains that I still need to get in there and change this thing out. So that's what I'm going to try and do now. All right, guys, I know you're fascinated with the proceedings here. Let's see if I can fit this thing in here. That spoke some. I hope this whole thing doesn't come tumbling down when I take it out. Let's hope there's no strong winds while I get this thing refashioned. Now, unlike a few months ago, actually, lumber has been relatively cheap lately. So I was able to pick up this 2x2 for like $2 or something, $3 at Home Depot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a template from this old beam. So all the angles should be correct. I'll just line it up to this thing, draw out the angles, cut my new beam, and I should be good to go with putting a new, stronger, non-cracked beam into the meat chicken tractor. I don't know why they're fascinated with these bricks. Guys, they're bricks. Okay, that's in there solid. It's doing what I need it to do. Serving as a cross brace. slightly embarrassed for the next task. Those of you that have watched the channel for a little while may be familiar with Lucky the chicken. She came with the batch of mail order meat chickens that we got last month. However, she's not a meat chicken, she's a laying chicken. Very apparent by how she looks. And so the reason that I'm embarrassed by this is because I'm moving her yet again. Those of you guys that remember several episodes ago, we moved Lucky out of the meat chicken tractor because she was getting crowded out from the other chickens, especially during mealtime. However, she got very lonely in the little tractor that I set up for her in the regular layer run, and she was crying, she was chirping all the time, night and day. So we decided to let her back in with the meat chickens and see how she did for a little while. So we moved her back in there, and she did okay for a little bit. She held her own at feeding time, but recently it's become apparent that she is not fit to contend with these big fat meatballs that are crowding whenever I feed them, whenever it's time to eat. And she gets very little food. And so I know I've moved her, twice already, but I'm gonna move her again. There's a slight difference this time though. One of the commenters several videos ago, actually a couple commenters mentioned this idea. Moving Lucky back into the layer run, back in with those guys in the layer run in that little tractor in there in her own, but move her with one of the meat chickens. So we'd have Lucky in there, and then we'd have Lucky 2, Luckier, another meat chicken that I just move in with her for the next few weeks or whatever until she gets acclimated to being with the laying hens. So I may decide to keep that second Lucky chicken, the meat chicken. I may decide to keep her in there with the meat chickens or process her on processing day in a month. I haven't decided. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get Lucky out of the meat chicken tractor, put her in her new digs in the laying run, and then I'm also going to choose another meat chicken, one meat chicken to accompany her and live with her in that little mini tractor in the layer run. It sounds complicated, but you'll see it all on the video. For the second chicken, the meat chicken that I'm gonna choose the scrawniest female meat chicken in there. One that won't give me a lot of yield in terms of meat. So if we do hold on to her, she could potentially just be another laying hen that we have. So, as you can see, I didn't go with Lucky first. I actually chose the meat chicken that I'm going to save from processing day. This is the meat chicken that's going to live with Lucky. So this is Lucky 2, Luckier. I'll think of another name, Fortuna. Maybe we'll go with that. Fortune. So I'm going to put her in first. She's scrawny, and it's very clear that this is a hen compared with some of those other chickens in there that are clearly roosters. This one is going to live in here with Lucky, so let's get her in there. All right, now it's Lucky's turn. Lucky. Well, they're eating, so they got distracted right away with food, which is good. My sincere hope is that this is the last time we'll need to move Lucky, and the saga of Lucky can end now, hopefully. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today, my friends. That's all we've got for today. I sincerely hope the rest of your week goes well. And until we see you on Sunday, we'll be here, as always, getting things done slowly.